Now being joined by Dr. WION Fineprint from Budapest. He is the president of the European Nuclear Society. Dr. Fineprint, thanks very much indeed for talking to WION this evening. How do you assess these counter claims by Ukraine and Russia about the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant? What is the level of threat perception?
Good evening. Thank you very much for the invitation. From my perspective, the threats are possibly real. It's very difficult to assess what will happen and why people would damage the nuclear power plant. But the consequences of this action, whatever will happen, will most probably not be catastrophic. I would say that even in the worst case scenario, if there will be some leak of radioactive materials, this leak will be limited mostly to the site of the nuclear power plant, and will actually not be a threat to the wider Ukraine, and not for us, not for India, not for Europe in any case.
Right. Now, Ukraine is saying, Dr. Fineprint, that power to the nuclear plant has been put off, especially in plant 3 and 4. What does that really mean? Does it suggest a false flag operation, as Ukraine is saying about Russia?
No, they have been losing the power connection to the grid, to the Ukrainian side most of the time in the last 1 year, as the plant is under Russian occupation. It's, let's say, nuisance, but these things get restored. If they don't have the connection to the electric grid, they go onto diesel generators. They are cooling the plant now without, I would say, major problems, especially because the plant is shut down for nearly 11 months now. So the amount of heat which needs to be removed for the plant is actually really small. A colleague of mine said it would be a garden hose, which will be enough water to get the heat out of the plant at this stage.
Mm-hmm. And Dr. Fineprint, finally, what can the rest of the world do? We hear reports that, the Chinese president has also spoken to Putin and essentially said that, this is a no-go zone, talking about a nuclear escalation. It's also creating a certain amount of fear psychosis around the world. Is that the real attempt here, to create fear?
Yeah, that would be also, I would agree with this. It's an attempt to create fear. It is an attempt to create a kind of psychosis, so to say. And it's also a kind of attempt to get attention of, let's say, decision makers, because we are to some extent oversensitive to the nuclear power plants in the last decades. I would still be much happier myself if the military activities will not be performed around the nuclear power plant. But let me just say that the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant has been disabled for months or even years simply by destroying the dam just downstream of the river. So this plant cannot produce electricity until the dam and the water cooling will be restored, which is somewhere far in the future. And the major loss for Ukraine is that they lost about 10 gigawatts of the electric capacity for a few months or even years.
Right. Dr. Fineprint, President of the European Nuclear Society, thanks very much indeed for joining us with your thoughts and perspectives on what is happening with the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.